Hello friends, I'm Lexi from Potter Primos, and I am going to be discussing the Perfectly in Pieces fanfic. It starts out with three characters that are very prominent, which is Theo, Draco, and Hermione. Voldemort has taken over. So you have a depleted order that is still trying to fight, but it is now overrun by, of course, Voldemort and his Death Eaters. In the beginning, it starts out with Theo basically in his manor. And if you don't know, Theo is a background character that was obviously part of the Harry Potter series. Never really had a whole background story, per se. So in the really cool thing about these fanfics, it's like they give him life. And every time Theo is written in a fanfic, he is written so well to where you just want to be his best friend. Like, he is such a sweetheart. Like, every time he's written, I'm telling you, I love his character so much. He has literally become like probably my favorite character in the Wizarding World. That's the cool part about him in general as a character, is that they really have transformed him into something that's so big in this fanfic world. And he's just nowhere to be seen. And obviously in the actual Harry Potter series is somebody very prominent. I loved him so much in Secrets and Masks. Like, so much. He was hilarious. And then you find out within there, obviously, that he is also broken inside. It's like, it's one of those things where the people who are the funniest people in the world to you just always seem to be sad inside, and they end up making other people around them actually happy. It's really sad. In this fanfic, he was very insecure. He was still very sweet. He went through a lot of stuff, to where like a lot of abuse by his father, who is Theodore Nott Sr., who is also he's a Death Eater. So he was already such a broken person, very insecure, all around just sad. In this fic, he's one of the main characters, but you tend to just really like, it kind of centers around him a lot in this one. Even though this is a Dramione fic, it seems like he was really made like into a character that you follow his story a lot, and you get a complete sense of his story from beginning to end. And it's a very satisfying ending for his story. It starts out with him and it ends with him in this fanfic, and it's really cool to see how much he grows in this and how he has overcome so many obstacles that seemed very not possible at all for him. Goes through aspects of him confronting issues that he's had because of his friendships that he does have in this fanfic. When it's him and Draco are very close in this one, they're like brothers to each other. Like they're very much like siblings. You still have the friendship of Draco's with Blaze and Pansy. You have Daphne in this, but they're very much just on the side. And it's just really sweet how they just really take care of each other and they have each other's back. So in this one, you have Draco and Theo actually living in the Nott Manor, so not Malfoy Manor, because Malfoy Manor is actually overrun by Voldemort. And he basically ran away from Malfoy Manor and decided to go live with Theo. And Theo's manor is just so big to where he still lives with his father. His father still lives there. It's just separate. It's kind of like he has his own wing of the manor, and then his dad has the other wing. And his whole abuse has like kind of subsided. Him having that separate wing really got him to be protected in a way, and he has that whole side protected with wards and all these different spells in order for his dad not to try and get into that section. They kind of have like in a way, a silent agreement to where they kind of just avoid each other now that he's older, and he doesn't even pay him no mind. It's just whatever. He just lets him do what he wants to do and be on that side of the manor and not even bother him. It starts out with one night him hearing a woman screaming. You don't know who it is, but he's just curious of where it's coming from. He hears his dad also yelling, because I think at that time he was like in the halls, so he was able to kind of hear his dad come, and he heard like yelling and then like hitting, slapping. Just this fanfic has a lot of just trauma in it for sure. A lot of abuse. Mind your trigger warnings because this one hits a lot. It is a very dark fanfic, which I was excited to get back into because I was reading the fanfics that were not as dark, and I really craved that because I really love the dark fanfics a lot and I really enjoy those. So when I've heard of this one, I knew that this was something right up my alley. And the dark ones always tend to be the ones that Voldemort wins or is winning. So in this one, he hears the woman screaming. He hears his dad leave, and he goes to investigate basically. So he goes into the room to see what and who it was, so that way he can rescue them. Because the good thing about Theo, he has a very, very good heart. No matter, even though all the things that he went through in his life from him, like he's a very empathetic and humane being. Come to find out when he goes in, it's Hermione, and he becomes like frantic and just grabs her, tries to, and she's very just like, I think unconscious at the point because she was basically hit and just beat up, just beaten by Theo's dad. And he basically rescues her and takes her over to his side of the manor. The one thing about Theo, since he has endured so much abuse with his father, he was able to learn about healing and glamoring and things like that to be able to hide his abuse from the outside world. So he has marks and stuff all over his body that he was previously basically fixed himself. So he's like a really good healer. So when he was able to get Hermione and take her to his side of the manor, he was healing her. He ended up right away calling Draco. They were actually looking for her the whole time that the war has been going on. They thought she actually had died. But they still didn't give up on looking for her. They're also Death Eaters because Theo's a Death Eater, Draco's a Death Eater, Blaze, a Pansy, all of them. They're all Death Eaters. They're assigned to go to these stakeouts. So they're given like leads to hideouts on where the order might be congregating, and that way they can infiltrate and just destroy the whole order and all that stuff. As they're doing that, Draco at the time and Theo are actively looking for Hermione. So whenever they're there, they're hoping if somebody pops up, if anybody in the order pops up, they'll find her. This one, Draco has had hidden feelings for her. Theo knows about it. He just wants to save her, basically, because he knows that obviously since she is a Muggle-born, that she is a very high-risk person that Voldemort would want to capture. Once Theo gets her and heals her and stuff, he has Draco come, and Draco is just in shock because he's like, wow, so she's actually been in Voldemort's grasp basically the whole time, right under their noses, basically. Hermione has really gone through like so much shit in this fanfic. It's so sad what she has gone through. It's like she's just been passed around like just a sack of potatoes, not even caring, just abuse after abuse after abuse. It's literally torn her down so much to where she's just not even the same human being. Like they find her so skittish and just like terrified for her life, not trusting anybody, just such a broken human. They try to obviously build trust with her and stuff, and Theo does end up healing her and stuff, and they all end up getting really close after the fact, but she does deal with a lot of trauma through what she's gone through, because this is basically 6 months in to Voldemort taking over and basically winning and the Order just being defeated. So she disappeared from the time that Voldemort attacked Hogwarts. She ended up escaping, or at least trying to escape, and that's where she was actually captured. And that was 6 months ago. And at that time, she was with Ginny and Harry and Ron. They ended up escaping. And that's when she was left behind and taken by a Death Eater. And that is where her whole hell is just, it starts. And he is, it's just your worst nightmare. So he captured her and got into her head so much. He became like her master. She would call him master and do things for him sexually and horrible. Like, and he would just just sexually do things to her and abuse her, mark her different, like, it was just so bad. Like, oh my God, I felt so bad for her in this freaking fanfic. It was just like, it just affected her so much to where she just became a different person. And they really had to try and get her out of that mindset. It really, like, throughout this whole fanfic, she had these inner turmoils of just this other her was inside of her brain. Like, there was different things that would trigger her. Like, there would be words they couldn't even use, actions they couldn't use. She couldn't even sleep on the bed. Like, her sleeping on the bed would trigger her feeling certain ways and how she used to be in that situation with Dollahove. Each in this one have their own piece of trauma. Theo's going through his abuse. Then you have Hermione going through her troubles with her PTSD, basically, of everything that had happened to her in the 6 months that they had her captured. They basically kept her because they found out that she was obliviated, and they were thinking that she has to be hiding something. So the reason Voldemort gave permission for Dollahove to basically have her captured was because she had something hidden in her brain that they knew that it's important, because obviously if the Order obliviated her, that means that she holds something very valuable in her mind to where they need to get it. So Dollahove basically was like, okay, I'll take her, give her to me, and I will figure out what's wrong and what she's hiding in her brain. But his sick, twisted way, he didn't even use that time he had to try and find what was wrong with her. He just abused the hell out of her, like, to where she just wasn't even a person anymore. He was his property. She didn't even have a name. Like, she was his pet. That's what he would call her, his pet. She ended up believing that that's what she was to him, like, or just a pet. That's what she was. She was no longer Hermione. It was just she was the pet. She had to make him happy. And of course, her being Hermione in the beginning, she fought, but she gave up because she had no hope. Like, how would she escape the situation? So she gave in. Basically, the reason how she was able to get out of his grasp was because Voldemort would approach him. Have you found anything yet? Have you found anything yet? And he was never successful because he wasn't actively even trying to get something out of her head. He was just using her as a pet. So finally he decided, well, we're going to figure out somewhere else if we could take her, because obviously it's not working out with you to try and figure out what's in her head. So we're going to take her away. And that killed him because he had this sick attraction to her. He owned her. That's how he felt, like that was his. When Voldemort took her away from him, he lost it. That's when Theo's father ended up having Hermione in his manor, because that's at that point when Voldemort took her, gave her to Theo as like a holding spot to figure out where she should go. Eventually he actually assigns Draco to her because he feels that Draco, this is what's different with this one, that Draco isn't really like the top Death Eater in this one. Like, I feel like he's usually in all these other fanfics, he's very much like the high Death Eater or whatever. But in this one, he actually, like, because he doesn't want to be a Death Eater, and he's pissed. Obviously, he killed his mom, and now it's just all the shit that he's been through. He's not for Voldemort. It's more just a survival. That's what he's there, just to survive, and him trying to look for Hermione. So he gives him a chance to redeem himself, and that's when he's like, if you're able to obviously get something from her head that we need, then you will be in good grace with me now. So lucky enough, that happened to where he was able to have her stay on that side of the manor where Theo had her originally, because Draco was staying with Theo. And during that time, they help her a lot, and he actually helps her to occlude. That way, when she is put in these situations, because they do take her, they have like, I forget what they're called, like every few months where they want to kind of meet, like Voldemort wants to meet with them to see the progress that's going on. He wants to help her to kind of be able to block those memories that obviously of Draco and Theo helping her, and just being able to pick and choose, because Voldemort is actively trying to get into her brain every single time. He uses the legitimacy to try and obviously figure out what is going on, what's hiding in her brain, and seeing if he can kind of get in there. And when he does that, it's very intrusive and just like slicing through. It's not like the easiest thing to go through. It's kind of compared to like the Cruciatus Curse. They train her to kind of help her have that. So during that time, they end up getting closer because even though he had hidden feelings for her, she didn't know that. And same with her, she had kind of hidden feelings for him, and but he didn't know that either. So during this time that they're together, it's kind of like both of them are feeling a certain way, but they're not telling each other. But obviously he cares because he's helping her. Comes to a point too when Ginny actually becomes a pretty prominent character in this. It doesn't happen until maybe a little bit later into the fanfic. I really like how they also introduce her own battles that she faces within herself too. So it really ties together everything with the title of the fanfic being Perfectly in Pieces, because everybody has so many pieces of themselves shattered because of different things that they've gone through because of this war. As you read in there, you'll find out stuff about Ginny, because I don't want to really spoil anything that happens, but there's a lot that goes on, even with Ron, because Ron is in there. Even though he's not really like a prominent character, he still is a good side character in this, to where he has also his issues. Mind you, while Hermione was captured, Ron was also suffering too, because he didn't know where she was. Because Harry wasn't there either, and Harry was like out somewhere, and he just felt alone because it was always them three together, right? It's always the golden trio. He sorted to alcohol abuse. So they each have their own thing that they face. And of course with Draco, we all know the same that he always goes through, which is being forced to do the Death Eater mark, and have his mom is actually murdered in this one, and then his dad, the way he treated him with abuse stuff as well. They just are going through so many different things. Not the same traumatic experience, but they all relate because it has to do with the war. It's really cool to kind of see like how they all have their own unique kind of trauma. As you read along, you really grow with them and see how much they change because of each other. You feel complete at the end of this. So it is a, like I said, happily ever after. I'd say it's a very good read if you love the more darker fanfics and deeper situations that they go through that may not be the easiest for everybody to read, but it was very well written. The only thing that I've noticed, that even though I enjoyed it, this one I feel like made me realize that I tend to enjoy more of the enemies to lovers type of fanfics, because in this one, even though it was a dark one, I didn't know how it was going to start out or how everything was going to be brought about, whatever. But I noticed with them, Draco and Hermione, in this one, they didn't have that inner like hate that I feel like seems more authentic and more like canon to the books, because they hate each other obviously in the books. So I feel like when they have the fanfics that are very much them starting out with all this hate and they grow from there, it's more believable and up to par with their characters. So in this, they didn't have that. And I think it was more because I think it was just how they have it portrayed is where just Draco obviously was mean to her and made fun of her and things like, but he still always had these hidden feelings about her. So they kind of explain how that goes about, the whole crush, you know, in school and stuff. But I feel like they tend to make it where even though he had a crush and he was mean to her, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like he's not mean to her, like abruptly, like he just all of a sudden. And I feel like they don't make it gradually get there to make it make more sense. So in this one, it was kind of just like that. It was like he hated her, but secretly liked her, and that's why he hated her, because he was supposed to hate her because she's, you know, Muggle-born. She's not pure. So, but her intelligence intrigued him, and the way she was able to pick up things so easily, just everything made him jealous of her, but also he liked her because of it. And on her side, he, I guess, kind of changed in her head because of what happened at the manor, where when they were captured and she was tortured by Bellatrix, that he false identified Harry. So Like he didn't know who they were. So in her head, it was like he saved them. So that made her, since he saved them, that made her think differently of him. That's how they portrayed in this one, to where she kind of felt things for him because of that. She kind of always felt a certain way, but I think I do tend to just like when they just truly enemies and then they find that love in that. It seems more like I can't put it down. So in this one, it took me a while to read this one. I think this one's pretty long too. Yeah, this one's 65 chapters. So this one was a pretty long one. And usually, even if it's a long one like that, I can finish it pretty fast. Granted, I was busy though, a lot of these couple weeks. But I was able to put it down and still do my stuff, whatever. And I feel like when it has to do with the enemies to lovers, I kind of continue once I just can't put it down. Like I need to read it, oh my God. So even though this was a good one, and I still recommend to anybody who's into the Dramione to read it. I really did like it, I enjoyed it. I just feel like I tend to want to look for more of the enemies to lovers. This is still worth a read, and especially if you're a Theo fan. Theo in this one is just so cute. And this one, if you read it, just remember this, the hot chocolate. Hot chocolate is, I love the hot chocolate part in this because it's so sweet what happens. So just think of Theo and you think of hot chocolate, and I feel like I can never unsee it now. So I think anytime I ever hear hot chocolate or want a hot chocolate or whatever, I'm gonna think about this fanfic. Right now, I already started my next one. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be Reference and Battle Scars or if it was gonna be Isolation. But then, like I said, I was really craving that enemies to lovers. So I was like, let me see which ones are good at enemies to lovers. And then I saw the Isolation was. So Isolation is the next one. I am already like 40% into it. But I told you, can't put it down. I'm really, really enjoying it. I can't wait to talk about it in the next video. But it is definitely something I was really looking for, and I'm satisfied with. And this one is actually, I want to say like an OG fanfic, because this was actually written when Deathly Hallows was released. So yeah, 10 plus years ago. It's just crazy how I've gone through this whole, all these years without even knowing about fanfics, and now being able to read something that somebody wrote that long ago, and it's so loved by so many. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. And since you do know now that I like a lot of the enemies to lovers, which ones are your favorite that I should probably add to my list, or that I should read after Isolation, or I don't know. I'm thinking I might just do the Reference and Battle Scars. I'm not sure if that one is a true enemies to lovers, but I did hear that one is really good. And it's one of the ones that'll probably destroy me, which I'm like, I haven't had one of those in a while. So, which I feel like a lot of the people cried for Perfectly in Pieces, and I did not cry. That's one thing, I did not cry. There was times I was like, oh my God. Like there's parts in this that's like, oh my God, they're heart-wrenching for sure. But I didn't cry. So, and they have a twist. So that's another thing that's good. I love me a good twist. So there's like a twist in there. And if you like those, I will talk to you guys soon on the next fic. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.